Hello and welcome back to the channel. Mike Bollier here. I thought I'd start a series on doing a painting on weekends, maybe 10 or 15 minutes long, just quick paintings, and hopefully everybody can find some time to get them done. And I'll try to do one every weekend and see what happens. This is basically a scene from Vancouver Island. It's fairly simple. It's not going to take a whole lot of time to do, so let's give it a go. I'm going to change the sky a little bit. I'm going to make it a little bit darker at the top, and these clouds, I'm going to simplify them and just put some nice little clouds in there, so let's see what happens. To start with a little cobalt blue right at the top, and I want a little more of a atmospheric sky, so I'm going to darken it. There, I've mixed up pretty much the color that I want there, so the next step would be to wet the sky area, just so I don't get any hard edges. And right up to because it's kind of a tree line right there. I'm going to get this pretty wet right in here, because I'm going to want it lighter colored along where the horizon is. I'm going to take a bit of a paper towel and take the excess water off of there, leaving that damp. And let's start into it. So we'll go across here like that. And then I'm going to start straight away with a little bit more kind of a blue color and blend that in. I don't want to mess with that too much as it's coming down here. I see that little pool of pigment coming down here. That'll be fine. And get a little bit more of a bluish color as we go across here. Well, that's why you should clean your brush better than I did. There's still a little bit of a brown hue, but actually that'll probably help it. A little bit of cat orange mixed in with this here. That's probably what was on the brush anyway. And then I'm just going to want to go lighter here. I see this little part showing up here where the paper is just not liking the pigment. So I'm going to take that across there, cover that up, because it'll just look a little bit strange. So we'll come across here like that, and along the horizon we'll get a little bit more cat orange in there. And put some color there. And then the rest of it I'm going to take down with water. Then when I'm getting into the water down below here, I'm just going to come across here carefully and not touch that line too much there. There, that's about all I'm going to do there with the sky. Now for the water, I'm thinking of doing reflections instead of really dark water that's in the horizon line here, but I think I'll stick with the photograph and just see what happens with that. And now I'm just going to grab a little bit of paper towel here. And I'm just going to put little suggestions of clouds in here. Nothing major, just a little bit in here. You can see how they form. I'll make this a little bit smaller here. I'll do it in my left hand so you can see a little bit better with the camera there. And what I'm doing there, that's probably what I want to do here. There, and that's probably about it. Maybe something a little bit lower down in here. Kind of like what the photo's doing. Take that across into there. And there, kind of like that. I'm just blending that. I did that. I took off a little bit more pigment than I wanted, so I'm blended it like that. And you can just kind of get these little wispy things going like this and create some interest. There, and that's about all I'm going to do there. That's it, done. And so the next step being, I'm going to grab a different brush here, a little bit smaller. And I don't want to go in and do this mountain here yet because it's just going to bleed too much into that lower part of the sky. So I'm going to get right into the water and get some of that done here. So I'm going to use Cobalt blue, and I'm going to darken it a little bit with some neutral tint. And go ahead and paint that horizon line. Now there's some sparkles in the water here, and I'm going to try to do those once the brush dries off a little bit. I'm just going to dry brush across that area there and get a little bit of sudden sparkle reflection. And for the waves here, I'm going to try to leave some white gaps in the water that I paint as I get closer to the shore there. So here we go. I'm going to start. Dark is kind of over here, so that's where I'm going to start. And I'm going to be careful not to touch the horizon line because it's going to do that exactly like that. It's going to bloom. So, and that's because I've gone too far down with that horizon line, and I should probably wait. But if I'm going to do painting in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, waiting is probably not an option. So let's get it done and we can fix that after. And this is dry paper, so you gotta be careful not to let the pigment dry too long on there, or else you're gonna get some hard edges. Just gonna take that across into here, and the little sparkles, I'm gonna leave them in there. Take that across there. A little dry brushing, even a bit too much. That's not bad. That little wave in there. Interesting. And I come across here. That's about the time that you want to start changing color. I'm going to come across into here again there. There's the hard line I was talking about. You can just go over what you've already done and it kind of disappears. So this is making all kinds of little waves and things and interesting bits coming across. So now I want to change the color a little bit. Get a little bit brighter blue. So I'm just going to get a little more cobalt blue and get kind of an in-between color here. I'm keeping an eye on that horizon line where that water bloomed into there. So I've got the waves are kind of starting to change. They're coming across this way here. So I'm going to come across like this here. And then it sort of flattens out. There's a kind of a wave coming across here. Like that. I'm going to do the back side of it here and there, and I'm going to go into where the beach is here, like that. Be careful, you change the direction here, you're going to go more coming in this way where the waves are, so do that. And then a little bit, I'm going to go over the Cobalt teal blue and put a little bit of that in there as a change color. And I'm thinking ahead here, but when it gets closer to the beach, I'm going to start putting in some sand reflections in there. I'm just going to, there's a bit of a sun reflection here, so I'm just going to make sure I keep that light, and it's darker than I want it to go. But that's what I wanted, so that's what I'll get. That. So before that all dries, we've got a few waves in there. I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to clean this up right on the horizon line. And I might have waited a little bit too long, but I can just blend that in afterwards here. There, atmosphere. We'll leave that as it is there, and then we'll start in here with some of the sand. And I'm going to overlap the sand color into this blue just to make it like you can see the sand through the water. And I pre-mixed some of these colors in here. I'm just going to let it do its thing pretty much. I'm going to go darker into here. And I'm just going to drop some of that in here, and let's Too much water. This brush holds a lot of water. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to leave those bits in there. And I'm going to go a little bluer into here, so I'm just going to get some cobalt blue, trying to not get my head in the way. That looks pretty blue, but that's okay. I'll just blend it into this business up here and it'll be just fine. So I've got some pigment pooling at the bottom of the paper here, so I'm just going to come across and clean that up. These other little white bits, I'm just going to leave them in there. This is granulating a little bit here. It's following the texture of the paper, so I'm going to clean that up a little bit. And there we go. So I'm going to go darker down into here. This is pretty much dry enough here. I think I can start into that, because this brush is a little bit too big. So we'll downsize on the brush. And we'll get a little bit of green gold kind of color into here, which is a lot lighter than what I'm going to want this to be here. And I'll make some suggestions of